question from anybody. The second thing we can do is stop servicing people who are not citizens. I mean, right. This is pretty. We haven't talked about healthcare yet, but Obamacare is real interesting because you don't have to, while every citizen must have health insurance, no one has to prove they're a citizen. Go figure. A little bit crazy on that. But the other thing, immigration is a very complex problem. It's probably the most complex problem because it involves the state as well as the federal government. And Senator Shapiro's and my ancestors and most of yours came in legally. But when we had a sane legal way to get in this country, right now we have significantly restricted the number of temporary worker visas that we have in place in this country. And that's a major problem. Here's the crazy thing about this. This was done and tried and successful in the late 1950s. We significantly increased the number of temporary worker visas, and illegal immigration went down 95%.
Thank you for that.
Thanks.
Mr. Kless, Dave Johnson in Frisco. I wonder if you could talk about some of the shared values between the Libertarian Party and the Tea Party movement and some of the tradition of the Libertarian Party standing for smaller limited government.
Well, sure. I mean, the Libertarian Party has always been, since the early 70s, the party of absolutely smaller government. We were talking about it long before it was fashionable. So I think that there's a lot of shared roots actually in both parties, both political parties, not just the Republican Party, but also some things from the Democratic side as well. We're for the original founding principles. It's very simple. We believe that government should be smaller at all levels. It's not a question. We don't believe in the progressive agenda that was put forth in the early 1900s in this country, including the institution of the 17th Amendment. We don't believe in those things. We think we need to significantly reduce at every single level what government does to you, because that government, which governs best, governs least. And that's true for the federal government, that's true for the state of Texas, that's true for the city of Plano, that's true for the Collin County, every single level.
The only response that I can give is that I would like to see what this state will look like under a libertarian perspective.
Me too.
I don't.
Me too.
Michael Jones. I always hate it when I have two close friends running against each other. It's usually at a primary, and now it's the general election, but it's a pleasure to know that they're both such honorable and well-spoken and well-thought people. So given that, I'm glad that the legislature only meets 140 days. They still pass some really squirrely laws. Which one would you like to see repealed first? And again, this is for both of you.
Which one would I like to see repealed first? Whoa, we have 7,000 bills that are put before us at the beginning of every session. Over 1,000 are passed on both sides and then signed into law by the governor. I could probably tell you that at least 50% of those have no business being passed. There's no reason for it. When we went into a session last year and the House side shut down and we didn't pass legislation for 4 weeks, that was the best time we had because we didn't pass innocuous, needless legislation. We didn't.
You just asked.
What we have to do is one thing only, by Constitution, pass a balanced budget, period. Then we can go home. Now we have to do redistricting. That's the Constitution tells us that in the United States, that every 10 years you reapportion. Short of that, there is not a single law that we need to pass. Not one. Now, if I had to go through and pick out all the ones that I don't think were necessary, we could be here all night.
The question was, what would you repeal? Franchise tax, property tax, gas tax. Any questions?
Did you want to respond?
No.
You're up.
Hi. Oh, sure. Brian McInch,
Thank you for coming tonight, and Senator Shapiro. Questions for you, Senator Shapiro. You mentioned earlier Obamacare, Environmental Protection Agency, Department of Education. With all due respect, I'm wondering why it's taken you 17 years to begin to take the 10th Amendment seriously.
Why would you think that's how I feel?
Because I haven't seen any legislation that you've introduced to uphold any sort of state sovereignty recommended by the 10th Amendment.
I'm not so sure that over the last 17 years that we've had this abomination that we have today.
I would disagree
I think
with
all
you.
of us have seen a difference in the way the federal government is encroaching on our lives. From my perspective, we have not had the federal government intervene in as many things as they are intervening in as we have today.
If I'm not mistaken, Senator, the EPA's been in existence since the 1970s.
Well, excuse me, we have a flex permit in the state of Texas that we have gotten approved by the EPA. We have been operating under that flex permit for the last 10 years. Now the federal government comes in and says, you know, we like your output because you are going in closer and closer to the non-attainment, you're doing what we said, but we really don't like the process that you're using. We've been fighting that. We are against it. We fight them in court. Our Attorney General, Greg Abbott, has got 7 lawsuits right now that he has filed against the federal government. We didn't have any before. We are finding the encroachment of the federal government as abrasive today as has ever happened in the history of the state.
Amen. Constitutional authority.
Wait.
Can I respond?
Yeah, we're going to keep the format going the way it is.
Here's a chart showing this red piece here, 2008 numbers, folks. This was the federal income to the state of Texas. This is not new. This is not new. I show you also this. This is the growth of Texas spending